Alright, welcome to my stream. It's like 2:30 right now in the sweltering North Carolina heat, so this is about the worst time to be going live in my car, but that's okay. I'll survive. I've got a case of water next to me, so I got my water. If I need to, I can turn on the AC, but I don't want to do that because it'll mess with the audio. I had a bag of carrots, kind of on brand for me to be snacking on carrots. But yeah, so I've been wanting to do this for a while. There's a trend on Reddit with fans of 21 Pilots that they're making a tier list of, every 21 Pilots song. So I wanted to do something like that, but I don't have access to a PC. I only have my phone, so I couldn't do the tier list thing. But I like making videos, so I figured let's do a video. So I've taken the liberty of writing down the titles of every 21 Pilots song from beginning to end. Now I will say I'm gonna get to the covers and Heathens and Level of Concern. That's gonna be at the end, because I'm just gonna go through. I'm gonna start out going through from the first album to Clancy. And I actually have Vessel. I have Blurry Face somewhere, but I've lost it. Got Trench, Scaled and Icy, and Clancy. I just picked that up the other day. Actually, funny story, when I picked that up, the cashier, he was like, is this any good? I haven't heard it yet. And I said, oh yeah, it's really good. And he said, the last album I heard from them was Icy Hot. And I was like, oh, you're talking about Scaled and Icy? And he said, yeah, I really like the song. We'll never take it. I just thought that was a funny interaction, because it's like, here's a guy who is normal, he's got a normal interest in this band, and then there's me who's like obsessed with the band. Anyway. Let's get started. The first album it used to be my favorite. Now it is my second favorite. So, first song, Implicit Demand for Proof. I'm going to have to put it in A tier. For this album, what I like about it is the lyrical nature of it. It's very lyrical. It's not so much about how it sounds. I mean, it does sound good. Tyler Joseph is very talented, and Nick Silly, or was it Chris Silly and Nick Thomas? I don't know, but it was Nick and Chris. They were good too. Of course, this was before Josh Dunn was involved. Yeah, Implicit Demand for Proof. I really like the lyrics of this song. Talking about basically God, questioning him, demanding that he show himself, and I like the way that is presented, like, poetically. What am I trying to say? It's, I know you're not a liar, and I know you could set fire this day. Go ahead and make me look away. I mean no disrespect, I am simply very perplexed by your ways. Why would you let us use your name? You know, it's very poetic, very interesting way of presenting that idea of, questioning God. But anyway, moving on. That is A tier. And then Fall Away is C tier for me because it's still lyrically very good, but the the vocals on the chorus, I don't want to fall away. I don't want to fall away. It's a little bit repetitive and a little bit annoying. A little bit sounds kind of whiny. And the vocals on this album are don't measure up to the vocals on later albums, of course, because I heard that Tyler Joseph is not actually he was never professionally trained as a singer, which is incredible because his vocals, if you've ever heard him live, is amazing. Um, yeah, so on the first album, his vocals are kind of kind of bad at times, just because of that. But yeah, Fall Away, I like the lyrics. It's just his vocals are a little bit annoying. Next up, the Pantaloon. Yeah, it seems like every album, there's one song that just boggles the mind. It's like, what are you talking about? And this is that song for me on this album. The Pantaloon, what is he talking about? Your dad's a pantaloon, your granddad's a pantaloon, now you're a pantaloon. Don't trust the pantaloon. I have no idea. But it's a fun song. I'll put it in B tier. Next up is Addict with the Pen. This is an iconic song, a fan favorite. And I actually have a little personal story with this. So I got into 21 Pilots in I want to say 13 or 14. It was what year did Blurry Face come out? Let's see, I think Blurry Face came out in 15. So it must have been 14 that I got in. Yeah, that's right, because it's every 3 years. So go back 3 years. 21, that was Scaled and Icy. Back 3 years. 18, that was Trench. Back 3 years. 15, that was Blurry Face. Yeah, that makes sense. And so before Blurry Face, there wasn't, they had only come out with 3 albums, and one of them was not available because they had already been signed. And as part of the deal that they signed, their second album was discontinued because they were going to re-record some of the songs from that album for Vessel. So basically what I'm getting at is I didn't have a whole lot of 21 Pilots to listen to. And Addict with the Pen is one of the songs that I heard. And I remember playing it for my mom, and at the chorus, or the pre-chorus or whatever, where he goes, I haven't found a drop of life, I haven't found a drop of you, I haven't found a drop of water. My mom thought that was funny, that he's being poetic. Drop of life, drop of you, and then at the end it's just a drop of water. But then, later on, a couple years ago, when I went back and listened to this album, I was like, wait, so a drop of life, a drop of you, a drop of water. What is he talking about? Well, whoever you is life and water. And I realized, oh, he's talking about Christ. Like when Christ was at the well with the Samaritan woman, and he said, you can come to this well every day, or you can have a drink of living water, and you'll never be thirsty again. Of course, he was talking about himself and the Holy Spirit. That the life that he gives us when we receive him into our hearts. But anyway, Addict with a Pen, I will put in A tier because, again, lyrically, just really good. Very poetic. I like it. Next up is Friend Please. This is another one that, people really like online. I've seen a lot of people, resonate with this emotionally. And I understand that, it's a song about, hey buddy, don't kill yourself. Like, yeah, it's a very powerful lyric, very powerful message. But where would I rank it? I want to say A tier, maybe low A tier, high B tier. I don't know. I guess A tier. We'll go with A tier. Friend Please is A tier. Next up, March to the Sea. This is actually, I think, maybe still my favorite overall song from 21 Pilots. Because this is a perfect, like a vision, like a dream of, I don't know how else to describe it, but a vision of a sinner being called by Christ to salvation. And I could do a whole breakdown of the lyrics there, but I'm not going to. I think that's enough said about that. It's just a beautiful song, very poetic. Yep, S tier for sure. Next up, Johnny Boy. Johnny Boy's fun. I have never really thought about it very deeply lyrically because I just don't get the sense that there's a whole lot there. It's a good song though. Oh, my phone needs to cool down. Okay. I guess I'll unplug it. Are we still live? Yes, we're still live. Okay. Johnny Boy's a good song. It's fun. Get up, Johnny Boy. Get up, Johnny Boy. I put it in A tier just because it's... Oh, come on. Dang it. My phone's gonna turn itself off. Because it's too hot in here. I told you this was like the worst time to be going live. But, let's see. Let's see if I can do something about this. Alright, I think that should be good. I hope. If I can get my phone to set up. Alright. Next up, what did I say? Johnny Boy? A tier? A tier, B tier? Let's do B tier. Next up is Oh Misbeliever. Now, this is their least played song on YouTube. by the numbers. I think it's the only one that is under 10 million, maybe, or I don't know, but it's the least played one. Oh Miss Believer is personally. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of a different one. Hang on. Oh Miss Believer is the one where he's describing a woman who's cold. Yeah, Oh Miss Believer is a weird song. It's not a bad song, but I don't know. It's just it's a weird visual. It's a weird visual of just he's describing a woman as like cold and almost like she's dead, you know. In fact, he has a weird habit of. There's a few of his love songs that describe the love interest in an unusual way, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, Almost Believer, I would say, is B tier. It's a good song. I like it. Aircatcher. Aircatcher is another really good love song. Um, You've stolen my air catcher, and I don't know if I want it back. I like the description in this song of falling, like physically falling, and relating that to like falling in love. You know, like you feel like you're in a free fall, and you've lost your parachute. It's an interesting take on a love song, and I like it. Very poetic. Next up is Trapdoor. Oh wait, did I rank that one? Earcatcher? A tier. Definitely A tier. Next up is Trapdoor. Now, Trapdoor is the song that made me stop listening to this album for a while. Because I was in this cycle of, mental health struggle. I won't get too deep into that, but I was basically like, in my mind, I was tearing myself to pieces every night. Overanalyzing, being overly self conscious, and, listening to this album. And then one day I just realized, like, when I got to Trapdoor and he says, "Take me out and finish this waste of a life." And I was like, oh my god, this is the most emo shit ever. Like, I need to stop listening to this album, for a while. And so I did, because I realized that line was so dark, but it's still a good song. It's very dark, and I would put Trapdoor in C tier. Yeah, it's a good song, but it's C tier for me. Next up is Akara Torch of Death. This song also makes me feel uncomfortable. For one lyric in particular, where it says, "The demon sat there waiting on her porch. It was a little dark, so he held a makeshift torch. And when my car was far out of sight, he crept in her room and stayed there for the night." And that's very haunting. Like, for somebody who, if you're a Christian and you take spiritual warfare very seriously, like I do, and demons are very literal, very real, and you see them in you see them in the world, you see them doing their work, and all the wretched, just the depths of depravity that demons are all about. So the visual of a demon waiting on her porch and then sneaking into her room and he's there all night. Yeah, it makes me uncomfortable, and I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, I think you get the idea. But I would put this song in B tier, because Yeah, it's just a good song, but it does make me a little bit uncomfortable. Next up is Taxi Cab. Taxi Cab is very interesting. I feel like I'm describing every song as interesting, like I'm just getting repetitive. But the first album, the lyrics are very interesting. It's a very lyrical album. And Taxi Cab is no exception because it describes sort of a scene where somebody has attempted suicide and then they have a vision of, they're in the back of a taxi cab and they climb out of their coffin and the drivers are like, hey, yeah, we're taking you back. It's not your time to die. So, very interesting. Um, Taxi Cab, B tier. Before you start your day, this is the one that I was thinking of earlier when I started talking about Oh Miss Believer. Before you start your day is their least played song on YouTube. And a lot of people don't like it. Personally, it's one of my favorite songs. It's one of my favorite songs by this band because the the lyrics go, um, and I think the one complaint that I have about this song is the use of the word slits. It's uncomfortable, slits. Open the slits in your face, and he's talking about your eyes, right? But it just sounds so weird. Makes me feel the way that some people say the word moist makes them feel. Um, but what he's describing is when he says, "I'm in your mind, I'm singing," and then he says, "You're in my mind, I'm singing," and then at the end, I think it's "In your mind, you're singing." It sounds to me like this song is from the perspective of God, and the idea that you know when God thinks of me, He's happy enough that He sings is um, a beautiful thing to think about. And so, yeah, this song is special to me. And I'm going to put it in A tier. Then, next up is the last song on this album, Isle of Flightless Birds. Isle of Flightless Birds sounds more like some of their later stuff. Like, let me see if my phone is cooled off yet. Now it's still pretty warm. So we're going to leave that there. I hope that the air conditioning is not making the audio terrible. Because nobody's in the chat to tell me. So I would hate to get to the end of this and then be like, and then go back and listen, and then it's, it sounds disgusting. But I don't know, we'll get to that if we get to it. Isle of Flightless Birds sounds more like something that you would hear on Vessel, because it's got that rap flow to it, and kind of a solid hook, and the sounds that he uses sound like Vessel. But I like the idea of flightless birds, describing humans as flightless birds, right? Like, we've lost our wings, we're like the dodo, we can't fly anymore. We're sort of, we're diminished from our previous state, we're kind of scaled back, and we're an island, so we are isolated from something. We are no longer connected to God ever since the fall. That's kind of the message that I get from the idea of all we are is an isle of flightless birds. We're kind of scaled back and isolated. And so, yeah, it's an A tier song for sure. All right, and that is the end of the first album. It's regional at best. Now, I will say this: I have not listened to regional at best very much because, like I said, it's discontinued. So, um, it's kind of hard to find. This is also their weakest album for sure. Definitely their weakest. And also, a lot of these songs are redone. They made a new version for Vessel. So I will not be rating Guns for Hands, Holding On to You, Ode to Sleep, Car Radio, or House of Gold. I will not be rating the regional at best versions of those songs because I don't have strong opinions on them. I couldn't honestly tell you what the differences are just off the top of my head. I would have to listen to it. But anyway, with that out of the way, moving on to Slow Town. I like Slow Town. It's kind of a chill, bouncy. It's a good vibe. I'll say it's B tier. It's a good solid B tier. Next up is Forest, the most well-known song from this album. Forest is definitely A tier. And yeah, Forest C tier for C major lips. If you get the reference, then my condolences. But no, it's on the real. It is A tier. Next up is Glowing Eyes. I don't know. This is one that doesn't come to mind when I think of it. I would have to listen to it. But I would guess probably I'd put it in C tier. Kind of just average middle of the road. Next up is Kitchen Sink, another fan favorite from this album, particularly. One of their most beloved songs. I really like Kitchen Sink. I'm going to put it in A tier just for the lyrical message that it conveys. So the idea is it goes into Nietzschean philosophy. So Friedrich Nietzsche he famously said, "God is dead and we killed him." Now people stop at that and they think that it's like a triumph. It's like, oh yeah, we've succeeded, we've had victory over God. But actually, the quote continues, and it's a long quote, but the long and short of it is, God is dead and we killed him, and there will never be enough water to wash away the blood off our hands. And so Nietzsche basically, his idea was, when the West fell, or at least when the West lost its Christian roots, and science sort of became, materialistic science, a new way of thinking, then, we lost our values. And so now what do we have to do? We have to create our own values. And so that's where the idea of the Übermensch came about. It was like, the Übermensch or the Overman or the Superman is somebody who, creates these values and he uplifts everyone around him. And of course, that got hijacked by um, a certain German, well, a certain German politician, and turned into a sort of a racist thing. But so this idea of creating values in Kitchen Sink, Tyler Joseph describes like, the reason that you shouldn't kill yourself is because you can look at something and it means nothing to anybody else, but to you, you give meaning to it. And he's talking about a kitchen sink because he says, a kitchen sink to you is not a kitchen sink to me, okay, friend? So, this idea of creating meaning and then that being like your reason to keep going, because if you kill yourself, then the meaning that you have assigned to that kitchen sink or whatever it is, now, since you are the only one who knows what that thing means, then when you die, that meaning dies with you. Yeah, I really like that. And this theory is also used to explain um, the logo, the lines. Somebody said that the lines just mean whatever you want it to mean, and so that sort of ties into the kitchen sink theory. But anyway, kitchen sink is A tier. Anathema, the next song is my overall least favorite song from this entire band, or from this band's entire discography. My least favorite song is Anathema. It's the only one that I really dislike, and it's because it's so repetitive. Like, why don't you say goodnight so I can say goodbye? He just says that over and over. There's not a lot to think about lyrically. There's not a lot of lyrical depth to it. Um, I'm gonna put it in D tier. It's not terrible. I do dislike it, but it's not terrible. It is musically kind of nice after it gets through the repetitive part, but that first bit is just kind of a drag. Let me see. Let me check the temperature on my phone. Is it cooled off yet? No, it is not. Oh well. So D tier for Anathema. Next up is Lovely. Love Lovely. I would say it's my favorite song off this album. Um, I'm gonna put it in A tier. Yeah, not quite S tier. It doesn't have that little bit of push. But this is another song where, kind of like I said with Oh Misbeliever, he describes this woman in a very unusual way. And so with Oh Misbeliever, it was, she's cold and her mind is like, snow on the rooftops and she's dead inside. And then with this one, it's you open your mouth, flies and cobwebs come out. Like, okay, interesting, very nice. Are you in love with like a cartoon mummy? Flies and cobwebs come out of her mouth? Like, I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, I like Lovely. It's A tier. Next up is Ruby. Ruby is another C tier. You know, um, I'm not sure what it's about. It sounds like he's singing to someone that he personally knows and describing something that happened maybe in his family. It's not a bad song, but it's not a particularly special song to me. I don't have any strong feelings about Ruby. It's going to go in C tier. Next up is Trees. Now, the original at best version of Trees is probably the most hated song by this band online. Me personally, I don't hate it. I'm going to put it in B tier because Trees is such a good song that this being a bad version of it is still pretty good. So that's all I got to say about Trees. I guess I'll probably talk more about Trees when we get to the vessel version of it. Next up is Be Concerned. I would say Be Concerned is it's a B tier song. I can't think much about it off the top of my head. I don't have any strong feelings about Be Concerned. It's not a bad song. It's a good song. And that's all I got to say about it. Next up is Clear. Clear is my second favorite song off this album. It's really good. It sounds very Vessel. It definitely gives Vessel vibes. And I like it's kind of a weird thing he says in the chorus. I'm the son of all I've done, I'm the son of all I've done, imposter, then fostered, then my new father drained my dirty blood. Like, it's weird, but I get what he's talking about, I've been fostered and I have a new father, and my new father drained my dirty blood. He's talking about salvation from sin. So I like that aspect of it. And I would put Clear in A tier. Definitely A tier. And then two is a rare song. Actually, it was only available on a very specific version of Regional at Best. It was a version that you could only get if you had the newsletter. But 2 is one of the best songs, hand down. Like, easily S tier. And it's all instrumental. It's just a beautiful piano piece, really. Like, so good, man. Yeah, 2 is S tier. And that brings us to the end of Regional at Best, and now we're moving on to Vessel. Vessel is my sixth favorite, I guess. It's a really good album. I love this album. I used to listen to it all the time. But it's just that they're so, like, every other album except for Best is even better than Vessel. And like Vessel, it sets a bar. Pardon me. So yeah, really good album. First song on this album is Ode to Sleep. I'll stay away, because the dark's not taking prisoners tonight. That's I like that. It's very poetic. it starts this theme of, and this theme carries on for the rest of the band's discography, even up to the latest release of Clancy. Like, it's crazy, man. This theme of, like, not, you can't sleep, you know? Anyway, Ode to Sleep is A tier. Next up is Holding On to You, very high A tier. I'm being pretty stingy with S tier. I don't want to give too much stuff S tier status. But yeah, Holding On to You. You are surrounding all my surroundings, sounding down the mountain range. It's very singable. Like, if I can sing to a song and it just has that satisfying feeling to it, that immediately bumps it up for me because I love singing with the music that I'm listening to. Sorry, there's noise. My granddad's. Next up is Migraine. Migraine's a good song. I really like the bit where he says, tie a noose around your mind, loose enough to breathe fine, and tie it to a tree. Tell it, you belong to me. This isn't a noose, this is a leash. And I have news for you, you must obey me. It's like, I love that visual. You tie a noose around your mind. But it's like, you know, you think it's a noose at first. Your mind thinks it's a noose. It thinks that you're trying to kill it. You know, your identity, you're trying to kill your identity, but then you say, no, I'm not killing you. I'm not killing my identity, but I'm constraining it. I'm taking control of it. And it reminds me of this biblical concept that I think Paul talked about, taking every thought captive for Christ. I don't know where that is written, but, you know, it kind of relates to that idea, taking every thought captive for Christ. You know, tie a noose around your mind, tell it you belong to me, and I have news for you, you must obey me. Sorry, I'm having a hard time speaking right now. Anyway, Migraine, A tier. House of Gold, B tier. Probably low B tier. Definitely not C tier though. It's a good song. I like it. But it's very straightforward. Like, there's not much to think about lyrically. Next up is Car Radio. Car Radio, S tier. And like, it's not, oh damn it, my phone keeps overheating. So, Car Radio is I mean, it really captured people, you know, and for a good reason too. Like, he's describing this true story of how somebody stole his car radio, and then that sort of sent him into this mental spiral of you know, he can't escape the dark thoughts, and he's, you know, tearing himself apart in his mind. And yeah, very good, very good. S tier. Next up is Semi-Automatic. I'm still not sure what this one is about lyrically. I'm gonna put it in B tier. I'm trying to think of I'm semi-automatic. My prayers get to, but I'll live on, yeah, I'll live on. I'm not sure. It's going in B tier. Next up is Screen. Screen is one of my least favorite songs from this band, because it's a little bit repetitive on the chorus. Yeah, there's a screen on my chest. Yeah, there's a screen on my chest. And but I like that. It's been a while since I listened to it, but I think it's a double. So it could be taken as either he's singing to God or he's singing to a love interest, you know, because it starts with, I do not know why I would go in front of you and hide my soul, because you're the only one who knows it. And I will hide behind my pride. I don't know why I think I could lie, because there's a screen on my chest. Yeah, there's a screen on my chest. Like, it sounds like he could either be singing to God or it could be a love song, and I really like that. So, yeah. Um, but it is still one of my least favorite songs from this band, just because of the, like I said, the repetitive and the slightly annoying vocals. So I'll put it in C tier. Next up is The Run and Go. And The Run and Go is I think it's I'm having a hard time thinking of the lyrics off the top of my head. Oh, I have in the album, it actually has all the lyrics. I can't take them on my own. Oh, semi-automatic. Oh, what did I say semi-automatic was? B tier? I'm going to bump it up to A tier because I forgot the lyrics, and now that I'm seeing it, yeah, definitely A tier. The Run and Go. I'm going to put this one in A tier too because I like the poetic. The lyrics are very poetic, you know, it describes I like the chorus. Don't want to call you in the nighttime. Don't want to give you all my pieces. Don't want to hand you all my trouble. Don't want to give you all my demons. You'll have to watch me struggle from several rooms away, but tonight I need you to stay. It's beautiful. I'm going to have to put this live stream on hold, and I have a pressing matter to deal with that just came up. So I will do a part 2 of this. And yeah, probably from a different location because it's really hot out here, and I'm dying. So anyway, have a blessed day.